Today we are going to cover a horrific crime spurred by jealousy, one that would leave a young girl mutilated with a pentagram carved into her torso and a missing piece of her skull taken from her body. There is no doubt that evil showed its face in the Tennessee woods that night in 1995. But did the devil make them do it? Let's get into it. Krysta Gale Pike was born March 10, 1976 in West Virginia. As a child, Krysta was allegedly abused by her grandmother's friend. And sadly, it is speculated that if this abuse occurred, it may have started when she was still in diapers. At the age of 12, her grandmother died, and following, it is believed that Krysta attempted to take her own life for the first time. Stricken with grief, it was later reported that Krysta began to self-mutilate in different ways in an attempt to cope. Matters only worsened for her when she had to move in with her mother. Carissa, who at the time was a licensed registered nurse and was allegedly an alcoholic. They did not have a great relationship, to say the least. Krysta's mother ended up taking her troubled young daughter to see a shrink. However, most of the shrinks that Krysta visited didn't provide enough aid when it came to her mental health. Things were only worsened by the revolving men in her mom's life. In an interview, Krysta recalled one of her mom's boyfriends saying, "He made this leather strap with a wooden handle on it specifically to beat the hell out of me with. And he made this thing and hung it up on my bedroom wall like it was decoration." All of these factors undoubtedly were influential on Krysta's psyche, which may have led to her demonic shift in behavior. Krysta, when 18 years old, was enrolled in the Jobs Corps program at the Knoxville campus of the University of Tennessee. In the 90s, Job Corps was described as providing vocational training for disadvantaged youth, giving them a chance for a promising career. Krysta was there to study nursing, following in her mother's footsteps. It was here that Krysta would meet Colleen Slemmer, who was enrolled in the same program. To say that they were friends would be inaccurate. Krysta suspected Colleen was attempting to seduce her 17-year-old boyfriend. The boyfriend, Tadariel Ship, was caught in the middle of this love triangle. At one point, Krysta had traveled back home for a holiday, while Tadariel stayed behind in Knoxville. It was only because of Krysta's absence that he turned his attention to Colleen. He later admitted that he and Colleen did hook up during that break. However, he never confirmed the fling to Krysta, leading her to act upon only her suspicions. In an interview, Tadariel can be heard saying about Colleen, "I didn't even know she existed. She approached me." Friends of Colleen Slemmer denied that she was attempting to snatch away Tadariel from Krysta, but with obvious tension between the two young women, Krysta attempted to extend an olive branch to Colleen by offering her some of the cannabis she had stashed away in the woods. But that was not Krysta's true intention. The bag of weed she claimed was hidden was only the hook to reel Colleen to her grim fate. The night before, Krysta admitted to her friend, Kim Aloalo, that she was planning on killing Colleen, adding, "She just felt mean that day." Enthralled by the occult, it wasn't just Krysta that voiced her sinister interests. Tadariel, a few days prior to the incident, would tell another student that he had to make a human sacrifice because the celestial bodies were in alignment. At approximately 8 p.m. on Thursday, January 12th, the four students signed out of their dorms. Krysta Pike, Tadariel Ship, Colleen Slemmer, and another friend named Shadola Peterson. Colleen, with the hopes of getting high with the group, didn't appear to have a problem walking into the woods. They led Colleen to an isolated area in Tyson Park, near the University of Tennessee campus. It was here where the grisly acts would unfold on that chilly Tennessee night. The tension grew thick between the group when Krysta confronted Colleen, accusing her of wanting to steal her boyfriend away. Colleen cried out, "Why are you doing this to me?" as the forceful blows continued raining down on her. Laying in the mud and sobbing, Colleen mustered the strength to stand and attempt to escape. She tried to run away several times, but to no avail. The first time resulted in Krysta slicing a long cut across her back. Her attempts were also thwarted by Cordell, who intercepted Colleen and pinned her to the ground. It was here that Krysta unsheathed the box cutter blade and sliced Colleen once again, this time across her stomach. Colleen begged Krysta for her life, telling her that if she would let her go, that she would, quote, walk back to Florida without stopping at Job Corps to pick up her stuff. Krysta told Colleen to shut up, saying it's harder to hurt someone when they're talking to you. She later admitted that the more Colleen tried to talk, the more she kicked her in the face. Kressta threw a rock, striking her squarely in the back of the head. Tadariel then joined in and hit her with rocks as well. Kressta explained how after regaining control, she remembered the specific sounds of Colleen's labored breathing. A medical examiner later described how Colleen was drowning in her own blood. After about 30 minutes, Tadariel took the box cutter and carved a pentagram into Colleen's chest as their final mark. The medical examiner later testified saying, the area around each wound was red in appearance, indicating that the heart had still been beating when the wound was inflicted. He added, none of the aforementioned wounds would have rendered the victim unconscious. With every slash across her skin, Colleen surely felt the agony of all the horrors that were being done to her. She suffered through nearly an hour before Kressta picked up a large chunk of broken asphalt and repeatedly struck Colleen in the head. As Colleen's blood collected on the cold forest floor, her pain and agony finally came to a chilling end. While Shadola kept watch, Tadariel and Kressta dragged Colleen's body to a nearby area where there was a cluster of trees and she was placed on top of a pile of dirt and debris. But before leaving the site, Kressta took a piece of Colleen's fragmented skull and placed it in the pocket of her jacket as a trophy of what she had just done. Allegedly, Satanists believed that the body must be whole for the soul to be released, and by taking part of Colleen, her soul would be kept captive. Then they removed 2 of her ID cards and a pair of black gloves that Colleen had been wearing. Tadariel and Kressta rubbed the mud from the bottom of their shoes over the bloodstains that covered their pants in an attempt to hide any evidence. After leaving the isolated part of the University of Tennessee campus, they walked to a nearby Texaco gas station to dispose of the ID cards and gloves. From there, they returned to their dorm rooms around 10 p.m. as if nothing happened. 4 people signed out that night, but only 3 signed back in. Colleen's butchered remains were discovered the next morning by a university employee. Initially thinking he stumbled upon an animal carcass, to be surprised with a human corpse. Kressta returned to the scene of the crime the next day, only to be denied entry to the part of the woods she intended to go. Later on, she left behind her jacket, the same one with a piece of Colleen's skull, in an administrator's office on campus, which led for her and her friends to be captured by the police. Her entire confession, once typed out, was 42 pages in length. As if that wasn't enough proof, police found Colleen Slemmer's blood soaked into the jeans Kressta had worn that night. A cooperative Kressta took police back to the Texaco station, where they found Colleen's ID card, and also accompanied them back to the woods to describe the events in further detail. In Tadariel's dorm room, police ended up finding a satanic Bible. The trial took place on March 22, 1996, and the sentence would be that at only 20 years old, Kressta became the youngest woman to be sentenced to death in the United States. And for Tadariel, he was sentenced for 25 years in jail, but for Shadola, since she agreed to become an informant against the other 2. She pled guilty to being an accessory after the fact, so she got reduced sentence. Sometime our tragic past can affect our choices in the future, but do you think Kressta's past was an enough reason for what she did?